think I'm spooky?
Be afraid. Be very afraid. What have you done to his eyes?
Good evening and welcome to Soft and Spooky. For today's video, I thought it would be super fun for Women's History Month to actually do a tier list of my favorite female horror villains. In doing this tier list, I am going to try and avoid any spoilers for the movies themselves, but there might be certain scenes that I talk about that could potentially, not be a surprise anymore. So just as a heads up, these are all the films that I'm going to be talking about today. And with all that being said, let's sink our teeth in. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and dive into the tier list that I created. So at S tier is going to be the Spooky Dooky Special. These are basically the most iconic horror female villains to me. I think that they're really well developed. They actually do scare me and I find them intimidating. Right behind that is going to be Unhinged and Free. These ones I'm kind of like, okay, you're kind of a little quirky, maybe a little crazy, and I'm scared of you. You are intimidating to me. For B tier, this is going to be like, she's a baddie, but like not that bad. D. I'm not necessarily scared of this character, but I do think that it's a very interesting character that does bad stuff. For the C tier, this is going to be kind of like dual purpose. It's either a misunderstood character or it's going to be an overrated character. So either I could consider them not really to be that iconic of a horror villain, or I think that their bad side to them is actually pretty tame. At the bottom of the bottom is going to be, ooh, I'm shaking in my boots. I think that this villain is corny and not intimidating at all. All right, so now that we have the ranking squared away, I think the first character that I'm going to be talking about is Red from the movie Us. I think that the character Red is such a richly developed character because you do understand kind of the reasoning behind the Tethered Society uprising against, the surface level characters. I also think that this character is incredibly intimidating just because you see the damage that these tethered people can do to their counterparts. And I think that the characterization within like the acting that was done for it, I think that Lupita Nyong'o just did a fantastic job portraying this character. And yeah, I think that this one is intimidating as well as really interesting, and it's a unique, fresh concept for this character. And additionally, kind of going towards the end of the film, you don't really know where you sit with your judgment of the character Red. You don't know if necessarily they're 100% a villain, and I find that very interesting. So starting off strong, we are putting Red at the top tier, which is the Spooky Dooky Special. So next one up is going to be a spoiler for Friday the 13th, the original movie, but I figure it has been a really long time, so you might already know who the villain is. But I am going to be talking about Pamela Voorhees. This one is actually one of my favorite videos that I've done on my channel. Definitely check it out if you haven't, because I just had so much fun making it. But I would say Pamela Voorhees is a goofy ass villain. I think that the slow build to discovering that she is the villain is very, interesting. But once Pamela Voorhees is revealed, I think she's just so funny as a villain. I even think I mentioned it in the video that I made, but like some of the noises that she makes, I can't take it seriously. That being said, I do love Betsy Palmer, and I think that she really gave it her all in the role, and I enjoyed it. And it is a very schlocky slasher film, so I don't hold it to the same standard as some of the more modern elevated horror movies, but I am gonna have to rank this villain down at the bottom. I am shaking in my boots because I don't know. I'm not intimidated by this character. I think I could scrap with Pamela Voorhees. So yeah, she is going down all the way to the bottom. Next up, we're going to be talking about a Stephen King adaptation called Misery, and we are talking about Annie Wilkes. I love Kathy Bates. I love her.
God, I love you.
She genuinely scares the crap out of me because this movie really stuck with me. If you haven't seen Misery, I highly recommend it. It really gives you that claustrophobic and panicky feeling of being isolated completely. And I think that Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes, the villain of the movie, she just does a phenomenal job. I am genuinely terrified. I think that this character really is a slow burn because initially you see her and she almost seems just kind of like a little bit obsessive of a fangirl over this writer that she comes across and actually rescues from a car accident. But then you start to see sort of the facade fall and a little bit darker sides of her personality, and it's genuinely really unsettling. And I can't decide whether I want it to be like A tier, unhinged and free, or if I do want to put it again at the Spooky Dooky special, because I love this character and I really genuinely am terrified. You know what? Yeah, I'm feeling generous today. I think Annie Wilkes is going to go all the way at the top at Spooky Dooky special, because this movie, I even had nightmares about it, like being kidnapped by Kathy Bates. So, yeah. Chilling. Next up, we're diving into a character from a more modern horror movie, which is Jennifer Check from Jennifer's Body. I think that this is a super interesting character because I think that though it is very tongue-in-cheek, I think that there are really interesting plot points. Like, it's the perfect portrayal of a toxic friendship, and it's almost like the hyperbole of it, where she's not just a toxic friend that's like sucking the life out of her friend. She's genuinely like a succubus. And I think that's very fun. I think that this character is kind of interesting too, because the way that she becomes a monster is through a very traumatic event that happens in her life, which I think, you know, it doesn't, the movie doesn't take itself too seriously, but I do think that there are kind of interesting plot points that like reflect a woman's experience in society. And so I just thought that that was kind of interesting. And I feel like I'm genuinely impressed with the way Megan Fox portrayed this character, because she's funny. It feels very authentic to being a teenage girl where you are obsessed with your vanity and maybe you kill some boys so that you can look prettier. And you know, who doesn't want to feel prettier? But I do think with all of that in mind, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm scared of this character, because maybe it's like the toxic aspect of me, but I'm like, I could fix her. I could I could rehabilitate this friendship. And so I'm not necessarily terrified of this villain. So with all that being considered, I think I might rank Jennifer Check as a baddie, but like not that bad. D. Because, like, she definitely does still do bad stuff, but I don't know. She's still very interesting to me. Next up, I'm going to admit, this is one of my favorite horror villains. I love it. So we are going to be talking about the character Tiffany Valentine from specifically the movie Bride of Chucky. I think that this was such a fun addition to the Chucky franchise because it is very much more comedic in tone. And I love Jennifer Tilly. I want to see her in everything. I want her to blow up even more. Like, she's just so great. Her voice, it's like angels singing to me. At least for me personally, I feel like this character steals the show from a movie franchise based around Chucky. Like, I think that she is the best part of this movie, and I think that she still does do vicious stuff. Like, I don't want to spoil too much, but the mirror shattering, gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love it. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily intimidated by her character, because I do think that I could take a doll on, you know. I could kick a doll's ass. That is something that I've defended before about people being like, why are you scared of Chucky? Like, who would be scared of Chucky? It's just a doll. And I think, like, through the voodoo magic of Damballa, being able to inhabit, like a human being able to inhabit a doll's body might have the strength of the human imbued in it. So, you know, I think I could take on Jennifer Tilly. Maybe? Maybe. I don't know, actually. But I don't know. I think also, like, part of me just wants to be friends with Tiffany Valentine because she's just so cute. And yeah, I would take her everywhere. She would be like my little Nadia doll from What We Do in the Shadows. That's what I would have beside me everywhere. But yeah, I mean, I think I would say for Tiffany Valentine, I'm going to put her in the ranking of unhinged and free just because she's a little crazy and unpredictable, and I think that's what makes her character scary as opposed to like actually being physically menacing. Next up, we have the character Esther from the movie Orphan. This movie really stuck with me, and I feel like I didn't really think about it until that prequel recently came out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that movie genuinely disturbed me. It honestly lends itself so well to the actress. She was a child actress, Isabel Fuhrman, and she just did such a phenomenal job doing very uncomfortable things. I think it's the genuine surprise that this movie gave me and the brutality of Esther, I think was so chilling because you don't often see the child as the villain, except for like maybe The Omen. And so I thought that this was really interesting. And you know, the uncomfy scenes at the end with the dad, I'm just like, ooh. And so I think that she is a really unhinged villain. And so I'm definitely gonna say she is in the A tier of unhinged and free because I genuinely am a little scared of this little girl. An even more recent film is Megan from the movie Megan. I'm going to be honest, because I am a diehard Chucky fan, I get very territorial for any movies that try to like either remake it, like that awful Chucky remake, or if they try to do like AI scary, technology bad. And so I just was like, And I gave the movie a chance, and I still didn't like this villain. I think it hits pretty much the same beats that always happen in these AI horror stories where it's like, oh my gosh, we're giving AI way too much power. And I think that it just, I don't know, like the dancing and the like quirkiness of it all, it wasn't doing it for me. And I didn't really think it was that like fun of a movie to watch because I felt very frustrated throughout it. I do think that the actors were pretty good, even though I don't think that the scripting was my favorite. There was like the scene where she's consoling the little girl, and I thought that was well done, but other than that, like especially the comedic things, it wasn't doing it for me. And so this villain, I'm sorry, like just take the plugs out immediately. Like, especially that scene where they're trying to power down Megan. I just was like, why are you doing it so slow? And why did you do it like from the front? I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. So I'm sorry. I know some people really liked this movie, but I'm going to be a naysayer. I didn't like it. Hello, editing me popping in here. I wasn't really happy with the ranking that I gave Megan just because when I really do think about it, the concept of AI and robots turning against us genuinely does kind of freak me out. So I think I might upgrade her into overrated or misunderstood just because I do feel like there was a lot of hype around this character, but I don't think that it's necessarily a refreshing or new concept. So that's why I feel like it's a little bit overrated. I was like really harsh on this movie, but it's just not my favorite. Wow, I feel like this video has flown by, but we are at the final female horror villain character, and we are looking at the character B from the movie The Babysitter. I think that this character would not be the same if it were played by a different actor because I think Samara Weaving? Samara? I feel like it's Samara, but I'm always wrong. But yeah, I think that she just portrays this character so well. She's very likable, and she does give off that like chill, whatever kind of quirky, fun vibe, but also pretty intimidating. I think it's interesting too because the entire film wouldn't have transpired the way it does without the main character not allowing themselves to be drugged like usual and just like have the blood harvested. And so I do think that, I don't know, I think that B's character was kind of like forced to go a certain way, as opposed to like, you know, protecting Cole. But I don't know, she's still very much a bad person and kills people. So yeah. See, this one's kind of hard to rank because I wouldn't necessarily say that she's unhinged. Like, I think she knows what she's doing, but I wouldn't say that she's not, like, she's a baddie but not a baddie, because she definitely is bad. She does bad stuff. So, ooh, I don't know. I also feel like the movie wasn't like a great movie. Like, it was fun, but it wasn't, you know, a cinematic masterpiece. And so maybe she's not necessarily an iconic character. Oh man, she's hard to categorize. I think I might put B in category B, not necessarily because she's not a baddie, because she does do very bad stuff, but I do find her to be a very interesting character that I'm not terrified of. Ooh, but yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna land on. The B goes in B. All right, and that is about it for my ranking of female horror villains. There are definitely so many more that I wanted to talk about, but I think I actually, from making this video, had a separate idea for a video that doesn't stick to the constraints of female horror villains. So yeah, just know that there are a few that I definitely missed, but it is intentional. If there are any that you could think of that you would love to hear my thoughts on, definitely let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed these horror-related ranking lists, definitely leave this video a thumbs up so I know to make more of them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. As you know, I am a small YouTuber and I have a goal in 2024 to try and hit 500 subscribers, and I would really appreciate your help to try to get me there. And with that, I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to stay soft and spooky. Bye. Also, I dyed my hair pink. Do you guys like it?